Xerophytic lichens. Xerophytic lichens are, we know that most of the lichen species, they can survive even a long period of drought. This is due to the property of cryptobiosis. Lichen and bryophytes, these plants do not have the capacity to retain water in their body, which is poikilohydry. And to survive in arid condition for long period of time, uh, they actually undergo a reduction in the rate of their metabolism, which is called cryptobiosis. So all the poikilohydric organisms, they undergo a process of cryptobiosis, anabiosis, or phased cryptobiosis, that is diapause. All these organisms, both plants and animals which have poikilohydric condition, have cryptobiotic metabolism. So this due to this anabiosis or cryptobiosis, lichens are able to tolerate xerophytic conditions and are seen to grow even in the desert region, or in the rock, soil, or even sand. Hello friends, I am Ayantika, and in this video I'll be describing various aspects of xerophytic lichens. Now, xerophytic lichens grow over a wide range of substrate. They can grow over sand, soil, rock, and even old bark of trees. But they usually grow in hot and arid climate. This temperature range can be from 38 to 65. And in this high temperature, we can easily say that the whatever water it has soaked will be easily lost to transpiration. But this lichens can xerophytic lichens, they can photosynthesize even when the water content is just 20% of their body weight. In that little amount of water also it can photosynthesize. Due to this extreme hot and arid climate in which the xerophytic lichens grow, they have a very reduced, very slow growth rate of 1 mm per year. Now, xerophytic lichens, like other lichens, have a mycobiont partner and a photobiont partner. The mycobiont partner usually is dominated by many species of Ascomycetes, although it has few species of Basidiomycetes species also. But the photobionts are generally mostly cyanobacteria, which are blue-green algae. Now, there are also some green algae which which can be present in the xerophytic lichen, but they are very rare. Xerophytic lichens are mostly crustose, though there are few examples of foliose and fructicose lichen also. And most of them are either brightly colored, like red, orange, yellow, green, or they are brownish or grayish in color. In the picture in the right, we see the picture of endocarpon pusillum. This endocarpon pusillum is a, as we see, it is a crustose lichen. This subdivision squamulose lichen, uh, we see it is brown in color, and it is lobate in structure. We can see it easily. And this crustose squamulose lichen is very closely adnate to the substratum on which it grows, and they have a very conspicuous rhizine system. Many rhizines are there on, if we just see the adnate surface, and this type of lichen, Endocarpon pusillum, this is found in the desert region of America, in the Chihuahua Desert, and in some part of Mexico like Baja California also. This type of lichen, they grow both in soil as well as uh, the rock, and they do not have any distinction whether it is a calcareous or non-calcareous. They grow on both type of rocks. The algal, the commensal partner. We know that the mycobian partner is fungi, mostly ascomycetes, but the photobiont partner is algae, which is mostly Triboxia, Pseudotriboxia, and Trentophylla species. Among the cyanobacteria or the blue-green algae, we find that mostly xerophytic lichens have nostoc and cytonym, though many xerophytic lichens have diplosphaera as well. Uh, Many of the lichens, xerophytic lichens, have both algae and cyanobacteria in the same lichen. One good example is Placopsis gelidia. Placopsis gelidia is a crustosquamulose lichen, and it has cilia in the marginal portion. It does not have Soridia isidia on the upper surface, but main reason why I'm discussing this Placopsida gelidia is that it is a host to Lichenicolous fungi. Lichenicolous fungi are fungi that are nutritionally dependent upon lichens, and one such good example is that Placopsis gelidia, it acts as a host to Lichenicolous fungi, Synaptospora terticola. It also hosts pathogenic fungus Roseliniopsis gelidaria. So, Placopsis gelidia is a host to Lichenicolous fungi. Lichenicolous fungi, I'll be doing a video about the Lichenicolous fungi in detail, but for now, we just remember that Placopsis is a host to Lichenicolous fungi, Synaptospora terticola. And another good reason why I am discussing Placopsis gelidia are the secondary metabolites. Like the xerophytic lichens, they survive in very low humid and high temperature and high sunlight conditions. So they have got many type of stress. But to survive in such environment, it has a lot of it produces a lot of secondary metabolites. Like here, Placopsis gelidia, it produces lecannoric acid and glycophoric acid among other metabolites. Lecannoric acid is a good antioxidant, and this lecannoric acid is very essential because in high temperature, when the water in the lichen is totally lost, the photosynthesis stops in absence of water, but there is sunlight, and the chlorophyll molecule gets excited, and a lot of reactive oxygen species is produced that produces oxidative stress in the lichen body. So, in order to stay protected from this oxidative stress, lichen produces a variety of enzymes, antioxidative enzymes like SOD, for example. But lecannoric acid also have the same function. It reduces or shields the lichen from the antioxidative stress. Another important secondary product, metabolite produced by this Placopsis gelida is gyrophoric acid. Gyrophoric acid is a acid that is produced in many type of desert lichens. This is basically a dipside which acts as a filter against the UV rays. So most of the xerophytic desert lichens, we will find this lecanoric acid and gyrophoric acid common in most of the desert lichens. Now in this picture in the right side, we see Pleopsidum flavum. This is also a crustose lichen. This also has a name of gold cobblestone lichen because of the color, obviously. This lichen, we see it's the bright lemon colored crustose lichen. It grows on igneous rock and mostly granite. But the Placopsis gelidea that I was discussing earlier, that grew mostly in siliceous rock. And this Placopsidium flavum, which is in the picture, this thallus, as we see, we can see that the thallus grows radially outward. That is quite common with the other type of crustose lichen also. And this type of both Placopsis gelidium and Pleopsidium flavum has been found in America. Placopsis gelidia has been found in the Sonoran Desert and also Baja California, but this Pleopsidium has been found in the Sonoran Desert. What are the characteristics that make the xerophytic lichens so resilient? The xerophytic lichens, they are able to tolerate a lot of stress that is found in the xerophytic condition. And the main stresses that are found in any arid area is the low amount of humidity, high temperature, as well as high UV ray. So, xerophytic lichen, they can photosynthesize at very low water condition. It can photosynthesize even when the water content is just 20% of their body weight. So the xerophytic lichens, once there is no water, it has lost all the water as the temperature rises, the chlorophyll molecule it is continuously excited because there is sunlight, and due to this excitation the chlorophyll molecule produces a lot of reactive oxygen species. And this reactive oxygen species, it creates oxidative stress in the body of lichen. To deal with this type of oxidative stress, the xerophytic lichens, they produces a lot of antioxidant enzymes in the form of SOD, and it also produces a lot of antioxidant secondary metabolites like lecanoric acid. So antioxidant stress is dealt by the lichen with this type of antioxidant enzymes and secondary metabolites. Now there is UV stress. Most of the xerophytic lichens, they have gyrophoric acid that is UV protectant. This gyrophoric acid is common in all the xerophytic lichens. Though if it is not producing gyrophoric acid, they produces other type of dipsides which are UV filter, which help in protection against the UV ray. So the xerophytic lichens have a comparative edge over the angiospermic plants due to all this stress tolerance. And the threshold for aridity of the xerophytic lichens is much higher than the threshold of aridity the angiospermic plants have. Now, threshold of aridity, it is the threshold point beyond which, if the plant body or lichen body it goes, then the lichen or the plant body will not be able to recover to living form. So the threshold for aridity for the angiospermic plant is much lower than that of lichens. And the xerophytic lichens are mostly of two types. One is the lichens growing in the open rock area. Another is lichens that is growing in the grass community. And lichens in the grass community mostly grow over either soil or sand or rock. Both case there is low aridity, high aridity, and high temperature. In the right we have the picture of Rhizocarpum geographicum, which is also called map lichen. This is because the Rhizocarpum geographicum, various species grows over the rock, and it gives the shape of planets, or sorry, it gives a show, it gives the look of either islands or continents. So it is called the map lichen. It looks like a map. This Rhizocarpum geographicum has been produced and has been placed in space for 10 days in order to study the effect of space on the metabolism of lichens. And after 10 days, it was found that Rhizocarpum geographicum, it did not have any alteration in its metabolism even while in space. Rhizocarpum geographicum is also widely used in lichenometry. Lichenometry is the method of studying the age of the rock by studying the diameter of the lichen which is growing on the rock. So this Rhizocarpum geographicum is a very well-known lichen, and this is a crustose lichen. It is found in very area with low pollution. And we can see in this lichen that the lichen has a bordering of fungal hyphae, which looks quite different from the lichen, and this bordering is just only fungus, not the algal partner. And this lichen we see are roughly circular, but the upper crust, it has a border. We see this border is due to the fungus. And this type of lichen has been mostly found in both the desert like Sierra Nevada to the temperate region like boreal forest in Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Siberia. So they are found both in high temperature as well as very low temperature condition. And they grow over a wide range of substrate. They grow over silicaceous, they grow over even basaltic rocks. So this is it. Ecological functions of the xerophytic lichens. Now, the xerophytic lichens, as we know, that they grow in extreme conditions, and they grow in either soil or sand. So, whether they grow in soil or sand, they help in reducing the erosion level, because the if they grow on if the soil is without any organic matter, then what happens is that the soil or the sand dune is prone to erosion. But if the soil or the sand dune on which the lichen or any other is growing, then they stabilize the sand dune and also stabilize the soil so that there is no erosion. Mostly, if the young sand dune. It is also called the embryo sand dune. But after there is some amount of lichen growing on it, this lichen adds organic matter to the sand dune, as well as the rhizines of the lichen. They help in trapping the sand particles, and this process they act as pioneer species on which many other type of plants grow. So this type of dune on which already there is lichen and other type of plants, it is called the grey dune. So these lichens are mostly responsible for conversion of a young dune to the grey dune. And this also happens in case of soil. If there is no vegetation, so there will be soil erosion, and these lichens help in stabilizing and protecting the soil from erosion. Also, if the lichens contain nitrogen stabilizing, nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, then as the lichens, it produces, it fixes nitrogen, and as the lichen grows old and it reaches either it grows old or it dies out during the rain. This lichen, when it is washed with water, it leaches out nitrogen in the surrounding substratum. So during rain, this nitrogen which is stored in the lichen, it is distributed around the lichen also. And so this lichen has got ecological function of controlling erosion, stabilizing the soil or sand on which it is growing. At the same time, it produces various lichenic acids that help in weathering the rock substratum on which it is growing, and creating soil in its place. So it also adds organic matter. As it dies, it adds organic matter. So any basic alkaline soil, if the lichen grows on this alkaline soil, in course of time, the soil will be converted to slight acidic soil. And also, apart from adding organic matter, it also leaches out nitrogen as it grows. Right is the picture of Candelaria antenaria. This Candelaria antenaria, as we see, it is a crustose lichen. It can grow as a thick or a thin crust, but it has a granular surface. We see that there is, if you see very closely, if you zoom it, we see that there is apothecia on its surface. This type of apothecia is called Lecanorine apothecia, after the genus Lecanora. And this type of lichen, it produces secondary metabolite in the form of pulvinic acid, vulpinic acid. Both this pulvinic and vulpinic acid, these are actually acting as a sunscreen, and they also help in reducing the stress from the oxidative stress from the lichen. So this Candelaria antenaria, this picture was taken from Yosemite National Park. These are the few examples of xerophytic lichens that I have got from Google Scholar. And this is the, in the right, we see the picture of Caloplica durates. This is also called durates orange lichen. As we see that this crustose lichen is yellow in color, and it is not very smooth, but it is warty. It has a warty upper substratum, and this Caloplaca, this type we see it is called verrucose type of substratum. This crusty verrucose lichen also can grow as areolate or form, and they have a secondary metabolite that is anthraquinone. Again, anthraquinone, it helps in reducing the oxidative stress. And this anthraquinone has many antibiotic property also. It is used for antibiotic property uh, uh, in uh, in in the traditional use. We see anthraquinones are used as an antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer product. And also this pulvinic acid and vulpinic acid, which was found in the last slide, they have antioxidant property and UV protection. So this whole xerophytic lichen, they have a lot of secondary products that have a wide range of use. Either they are used for pigment, they are used for medicine, they are used for UV protection. These are the locations in which we can find the xerophytic lichens. We see that mostly they are found in America, but it is not the fact, because in America there is much more lichenology institutes. We see that in Africa also we have many lichen, and in the Western Asia, like Israel, Eurasia is, and in China, as well as in Egypt, also in Asia also we find, in Afghanistan also we find lichen species. The left we see the lichen by the name of Acrospora socialis. Now, this Acrospora socialis, it is here it is growing on limestone, but it can also grow on granite also. This bright colored, yellow colored lichen, we can see that it is a crustose areolate lichen. This acts as a pioneer species in biological soil crust also. This biological soil crust is actually a soil along with living plants and animals. Biological soil crust includes soil, algae, cyanobacteria, other type of fungi, lichens, and even bryophytes and invertebrate organisms. Like for example, tardigrade is a very important part of biological soil crust. Now, biological soil crust are mostly found in the arid region, and this crustation of the soil help in the resisting soil erosion, and also at the same time, due to the presence of algae, cyanobacteria, lichens, and bryophyte, this soil crust have the function of both carbon and nitrogen fixation. So the biological soil crust on which the lichen is growing, they increase the primary productivity of that soil. This Acarospora socialis, this crustose lichen, we can see, if you look very carefully, it has got apothecia, which is slight brown colored, and this Acrospora, this is also called cobblestone lichen. We'll be discussing another species in the next slide. Now, about the reproduction. Lichens, they generally have vegetative, sexual, asexual, but in xerophytic lichens do not usually have this vegetative stage. Obviously, due to low amount of water present, they sometimes have asexual pycnospore, but vegetatively they, if their condition is quite good, then they have diaspores in the form of soredia and sedia. And when they reproduce sexually, they have apothecium and perithecium. I have discussed about the reproduction of lichens in a separate video, so I'm not going to discuss it in detail. In the left, in the right, we see a picture of Acrospora fuscata. Now this Acrospora Fuscata, it is, we see it is a very brownish areolate crustose lichen, and this lichen has been found in both Europe and America in the Sierra Nevada region, and so it is found both in the dry as well as the temperate region. This Acrospora fuscata, it is also called brown cobblestone lichen, and they are found to grow over non-calcareous rock, and they also produce gyrophoric acid as a secondary metabolite. The lichen that I discussed in the previous slide, Acrospora bullata, that is nebulata, that is a cracked lichen, and they produce lecanoric acid and gyrophoric acid, both acting as a UV protectant and antioxidant protectant. If you look at the structure of the lichen, the desert lichen, we see that the upper cortex has a very tight meshwork of fungal hyphae. They are the fungal hyphae are adherent to one another in order to protect the algal partner from excess sunlight. And we know that the lichen, the fungal partner, it is quite highly in nature, so light can reach it but not the excess heat. So this cortex, it protects it from excess sunlight, excess heat. The algal partner is protected from excess heat and excess sunlight. Then below the algal layer is the medulla, which is a loose layer, and in the medulla, conduction of water is very fast, and in this medulla also maximum water is lost from this part, because the upper cortex, it has very closely packed fungal hyphae, so the transport of water or the transpiration of water from that layer is quite difficult and very slow, rather than the medulla. The rate of transpiration is much more. Transpiration, not water loss, is much more. And this as the plant loses, the lichen loses water, it also gains water in the same way, and it usually absorbs a large amount of water, and the rate of water absorption in the form of coastal fog or rain is much higher than the water loss. And in the left we see, on the right we see the picture of Leucodectron occultum. As we see, this is a crustose lichen, and this looks immersed in the bark of the tree on which it is growing. This Leucodecton occultum is a endoploidal lichen. If it would have grown on the surface of the bark, then it would be called epiploidal. But as it is growing on the immersed in the bark, it is endoploidal. We see this is a yellowish gray type of upper surface, and it is not very smooth. So it can also be rugose, that is wrinkly, or verruculose, that is in the form of warts, and it can also be rhymose, that is it has a cracked like appearance. So all this type of appearance can be found in Leucodecton occultum. And in this type of lichen, the algal layer is not continuous, and on the upper surface we do not see isidium or soridium. Also, it does not have pycnidium. It has only apothecium. These are the animals that are found to be yeah, growing, that are found in the lichen. They can also feed. They are usually found on the lichen because they feed on the lichen. So this bark lice, butterfly, bristletail, the catalids, mites, grasshoppers, moth, oribatid mites, snails, slugs, spider, tardigrades, web spinner. All they are very small organisms that are found growing on the lichen, feeding on the lichen. Apart from that, we can also see that many other, even the ungulicates, that is the uh, reindeer, the elk, they also feed on lichen. Apart from that, we can see many type of birds, bat and pika. Pika is a very small rodent like looking mammal. Even mice, voles, chipmunks, squirrels, they also feed on lichen. We among the ungulates, we can see that the caribou deer, reindeer, elk, pronghorn, they feed on this type of on lichens. And also mountain goat, bighorn also feed on the lichen. But these are the animals that are found in the Arctic or the temperate region, and mostly in the desert region. We see that the lichens are fed by this mites, butterflies, grasshoppers, cattylids, bristletail, web spinners, and of course the most important is the tardigrades. Tardigrades form part of the biological soil crust, and they also have this property of cryptobiosis along with the lichen on which it is growing. So this on the right side, we see the picture of Dimelena radiata. This Dimelena radiata, this is a crustose lichen. It can grow as a thick or thin crustose, but they have a plicate, radiate, marginal lobes. And there we see that it has an areolate appearance, and the surface is white, and it is covered with white granules, that is leprose type. And this lichen, they have secondary metabolite in the form of somoric acid, diferricatic acid, and norstitic acid. So desert lichens, here we have discussed what are the features that make the desert lichens very resilient, their internal structure, their process by which they reduce the stress they face, what are the various type of desert lichens, and where they are found, what are the animals that are feeding or living in the desert lichen. With this, I want to thanks for being with me in the video, and please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to get more videos on life. Thank you.